Hi everyone. I just wanted to touch base about the jobs in Chapter 6. After our class session yesterday, I was a little frustrated with how MindTap was responding and um, decided that there had to be a better way to kind of debrief on this. So what my attempt is going to be today to try to record any glitches or experiences so we can report those back to the publishers, because yesterday when working through it with a student, um, they were going through it and some of the stuff just disappeared. So trying to decipher some of these tips and tricks and get out what we actually need to get out of the assignment. With that being said, I do see the value add in these jobs because you're actually looking at correspondence. So I do want to go through these so that you're feeling comfortable with that piece. Job 6, we're going to let go and get that submitted for me. I'll go in and look at it and give you the most points that I can give you. When we did talk about Chapter 6 here, a few things did come up. And when you look in the book, on page 140, if you have the physical textbook, or excuse me, 142, if you have the physical textbook, there's some hints when it comes to indexing on incoming and outgoing correspondence. If you need to look at it electronically, that's going to be found under the procedures for storing physical records when you're looking at the book. I don't want to pull out of the job so that you can see this, but some of the tips that they're telling you when it's incoming documents, you're looking at the letterhead usually first for storage purposes, and then we're getting into the business name. We might be getting into who the letter's being connected with, and those types of things. Again, when it's outgoing correspondence, we're looking what the name in the letter, who it's addressed to, and that company name. That's pretty much where I would start with these. Now again, as we approach job number 7 here, where I would always start is to see if there's a hint. In this chapter, the piece that they've added are the tickler files, and there'll be notations on each of these pieces of correspondence if we need that tickler file or not. And I'll kind of walk you through that. So my goal here today is to try to go through each one of these pieces of correspondence so that you can make sure that you coded it properly and are feeling comfortable with that. And then I'm not going to go into the files and put them in the order. We will leave that for Tuesday, and I'll follow up with that on the Blue Jeans recording. I'm not going to upload the recordings from this week because they just aren't going to be helpful. And I apologize for any frustration that that may have caused during the classes, but we need to get to a better place with this, and I think this is probably our best route. So thank you for sticking with me, and I will work with you on these jobs. And the takeaway piece here for me is that you're feeling comfortable with how to look at the document and how to code it. So this one, if we do look at it, there's no hint. It has been released here, so it has been inspected. And this simply is a letter from coming to Oric Systems, which is our company from 205 Outfitters Inc. So that's exactly who we're going to code it from. We generally are going to look to this letterhead. And we go left to right here. So this will be filed in the numbers. There's nothing else that we have to do to it because there's no annotation on here for any follow-up that will be needed for the tickler. I'm going to go into the next document here. Now this is my approach, is to go through the correspondence and then file them. Once you hit file, it's more difficult to see the files in the stack like this. You're not able to move through them as quickly. All right, the next one here is a letter, again to Oric Systems, just from a private individual named Beverly Charleston Eggers. We have the release mark, so it is released, and we are going to code this not by the letterhead per se, but because this is just an individual, we're going to code it by the last name and first name. Now, because this name is hyphenated, we will need a cross-reference. So to add that cross-reference, our key unit would be Eggers, secondary unit would be Beverly, and then Charleston. And her title, which was CPA, and we want them to actually see the file that we want them to get it to. So that's the combined name, that push and mush of Charleston Eggers and Beverly and her title. All right. So those are those two pieces that we are going to then file. And now you can hit this triangle because it'll just go up like that, and I'm going to just move on into the next one. This next one is a letter, again, coming to our company, Orix Systems, from Chad S. Baker. He is an individual. There is a release mark. All right. And I'm just going to code it up here in the letterhead. Last name, first name, middle initial, title. Okay. We won't need a cross-reference on this one, and so we're going to move on to the next file. Now, this is our first tickler annotation, and this is what we're looking for. This is a letter from Orix Systems going to Ann Ashby. She's with Allstate Cable, and it does have the tickler mark. So let's go inspect it. It won't need an inspection. It's just not necessary. Because it's coming from our company, and we're going to code it. Now, this is the name of the company. That's more important than the name of the letter it's going to. We're going to go left to right, but this one will need a cross-reference because of the confusion with Allstate. So I'm going to first add the cross-reference, and that's Allstate as one word. And we're going to have a C also, and this is going to be Allstate, 2 words. Okay, so that's your cross-reference. Now we need to add the tickler because Pat wants to be reminded to follow up on this order. So the date that she wants to be reminded is March 1st according to the annotation. And PJ is Pat Johnson. And Y, she just wants a reminder. And the related record name is All State Cable Inc. And that letter came in on February 20th. So now we have these document items, the cross-reference and the tickler card. These are also going to be filed, and we'll look at how to file those tickler cards when we get done coding these. All right, next we have a business, but we will also notice that it's a division of another business, so this one will need a cross-reference as well. Let's look if there's any release annotations. I don't see a release annotation, but I do see that it has a reminder here. So we're going to need a tickler on this one as well. Okay. So first of all, it hasn't been inspected. We don't have a release mark. You know, I'm going to second guess this. I think it does have a release mark because of the note from Pat Johnson. So I'm going to code that. And if we get those items wrong, it's not the end of the world. Key unit, business left to right. So we're okay there. We're going to add that cross-reference. And again, the new name, if we pull this out here, or where it could get confused, is that they have a relationship with Imagine Films, Inc. And you can put that other information in as well, but I'm just not for the time. Okay, I'm going to shorten that. Now, if we look at this hint, it will tell us that we need a cross-reference. And I'm reviewing these because I've gone through them a couple times now, so I apologize that I didn't look at some of these hints. The tickler now is going to be down here, and Pat Johnson wants that on April 5th. And she wants to be reminded to check on brochures. Okay. The name associated with this record is going to be 007 Spy Channel. And the date on this one, did the wrong way. It's going to be March 23rd. Okay, moving on to the next one. This next one now is a correspondence that is a foreign name, and there's no hint on it, but we need to look at how it's been translated and if we have any marks on it. Okay. So, with that being said, the translation is International Computing Center, and I believe in the previous job they have given us this information. That's why the hint is not here, and so I do think this one is a little confusing, but we have cross-referenced this one before, and so I think that's how they're getting away with it. I don't see a release mark on this one, so I'm going to just keep that as a no. Our subject, though, we are going to code into here, and this is going to be International Computing. Whoops. Center. Okay, we're going to add this, and that's how we would file this one. Now, with that being said, this document, there'll be a few of them in the files, so pay attention to these dates. If there's more than 3 documents dealing with that company, we will have to create a new folder. Chicago Broadband Association. If we look at this document, there is a release on it, no tickler, so we can say that it's been inspected, and we are going to code this because it's from a business left to right.